Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TA Certified Podcast. I hope you are doing well on this great Saturday. It is hump day, folks. We are almost halfway through it. If you're on the East Coast, it's 9 o'clock right now. West Coast, 6 o'clock. Man, it's already been a week. We're already kind of getting through it. And if you work the weekends, well, my friend, I tip my hat to you. You still got a little bit to go. My past weekend, I want to start off with I ran a 15K, my first ever 15K trail race. And this one was a fun one, folks. I always do I do usually road racing, and that usually kicks my ass. I'm not a fan anymore. I think I'm taking it to the trails strictly. Your boy placed 14th in the men's division and 17th overall. That's a top 20 finish for his first ever trail race. I'm pretty stoked on that. I can't lie. I do a lot of running during the week. I run probably 6 days a week. Really try to get those miles in and do some things like yoga, Pilates, some hit training. Yesterday I did a hot yoga class. God damn, are those things hot? And there's a lot of fucking people squished into them. So heat plus extra bodies equals, an extra hot sitch. It's a hot sitch. That's all I gotta say. So if you're going to those, bring a fucking extra towel, bring some water with some ice in it, and stay cool, friends. But that's not what you came here for today. That's not what you came. You didn't care. You don't care about my runs. You don't care about the hot yoga. I get it. We're here to talk about news. We're doing the news segment of the TA Certified Podcast. Today we have 4 different segments. Like always, 3 of them will be national news, and 1 will be a San Diego specific news news situation. So to give you a quick lineup of what you can expect, the first segment here is going to be about the Fed rate that came out today. We're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit of where we came from to where we are now. Segment 2 will go into the F-35 stealth plane crash. How the fuck did that happen? What do we know? And what's going to happen in the aftermath of it all? So that will be an interesting one to go through. And number 3, some serious allegations thrown to one Russell Brand. He really was a star for a while. Forgetting Star Marshall was one of his bigger roles, but now he is a podcaster, news creator, content creator, and some serious allegations have come his way. Timing could be odd, but folks, these are serious allegations, so we will take them for what they are, at least for now. And the last segment that I have is San Diego gas. San Diego gas is becoming absolutely insane. I know nationwide people are feeling it, but specifically in San Diego right now, it is not a joke, folks. It is not a joke. If you're a commuter, you're saying amen right now. You're saying amen for sure, because things are getting out of hand. So we'll go through those 4 things. We'll wrap it up, and that's where I'm at right now. So to start things off right, the Fed today, they said that the existing rate is going to stay as is. The existing rate is between 5.25% to 5.5%. This will remain the rate going forward. But the Fed also did acknowledge that the inflation rate at 2% is higher than their 2% goal. So there is some work to do. When I say that, you should cringe, because when they want to get inflation down, this means they want to see unemployment up, people spending less, having the dollar devalue a bit to get back to a homeostasis, which in the long run will help us all out. But in the short run, that means pain for sure, a lot of pain. And usually when that means pain in the economy, low wage, low skilled, the people who don't have definitely feel it the most. People living on credit and all those good things feel it the most. So let's start this thing off. I see that my connection is a little shaky right now, so I'm hoping that this stays true for the entirety of this podcast, folks. So let's start it off with a little news clip straight from YouTube regarding the Fed decision today. So let's hear what these folks had to say. Here we go.
We are ready now to go for the Fed decision, and Steve Leisman.
The Federal Reserve maintaining its interest rate at 5.25% to 5.5%. But the committee continues trying to determine the, quote, extent of additional policy firming that may be appropriate. So there's this bias in the statement suggesting they're still looking to raise rates. And indeed, the average Fed forecast does continue to look for one more hike this year with an average forecast of 5.6%. Importantly, and I'll come back to that, there are two fewer cuts, 25 basis point cuts built in for next year. On the economy, economic growth was upgraded to solid from moderate. Job growth was said to have slowed, but remains strong. Inflation remains elevated, and the committee repeated its commitment to a 2% inflation target. The average forecast, let's get to the forecast for next year, now sees a 5.1% funds rate next year. That's up from 4.6. So there's the higher for longer we've been talking about all morning here. And just so you, if you want to do the math with their inflation rate, it's now only a half point of cuts built in compared to a full percentage point next year. The real rate actually goes higher next year. So the average Fed forecast sees itself getting tighter relative to the inflation rate, which remains the same at 2.5. So they have a real rate of 2.6 next year versus 2.3 this year. The funds rate is above neutral, by the way, all the way into 2026. So our first look at 2026, they have a 2.9% funds rate versus their neutral rate of 2.5%. The Fed more than doubled the GDP forecast for this year to 2.1 from 1% of the prior forecast to 1.5% next year from 1.1%. Lowered the unemployment rate for the next several years by about 0.3, so it doesn't see as much unemployment as it previously forecast. And it continues to mention the banking system, but not do very much with it. It says tighter conditions, credit conditions for households could weigh on economic activity, but the extent is uncertain. And it's all unanimous, guys.
Okay, so that was a quick rundown of some of the highlights, the points that the Fed had announced during their conference, during their meeting, during their, State of the Union, if you will, because we all, especially in the real estate industry, especially for credit card consumers, and for everyone who's just an American trying to spend money to live, because that's what you need to do these days, we are all sitting and waiting to hear. So for at least another month, things remain unchanged. The Fed pointed out that the economy is solid, is in a solid, it's in a solid shape, with job gains slowing and tighter credit conditions likely to slow economic activity and stem inflation. So this is what I'm talking about. They don't want to see a booming job market right now and higher wages for workers and all sorts of things. And I know this sounds crazy to say for people who are who are tasked to take care of the American economy, but this is a fact. And for a while there, I didn't really understand, I guess, the economics of everything. So when I hear, that these things are considered bad in this inflationary period, it makes me kind of wonder, well, what the fuck then, right? Is this all fake then? If we see things going good, but it's then hurting us, and we want to see things go bad to kind of even us out, is this kind of just a game that we play now? And we all want to see just a even keel amongst spending and what you make and wages. So this to me is definitely worrisome, because we've already felt a lot of pain over the last 11 months. And right here I have written down, the Fed increased its main rate at an 11-month consecutive meeting since last March. So for 11 straight months, the rate has been going up and up, and now it remains the same. So my thing is, everyone during this time where the rates kept going up, there was a sky is falling effect, really though, amongst everyone in the business, everyone running their own business in all sorts of different industries. And now that there is no rate change, no height, no decline, everyone seems to have been reminisced to saying like, well, thank God there's no increase. But this is kind of how they get you. You push a little bit and they push a little bit and we don't say anything. They push a little bit further. Then we say, hey, hold the fuck up. And they go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, well, sorry. Wait a little bit. Then push again until we say, whoa, what are you doing? And they wait a little bit again. And they push it until we're at a point where we no longer even see where we started in the first place. And now we're too far gone down the interest rate rabbit hole, down the job losses rabbit hole, what we need to happen to the economy rabbit hole, and now everyone is way worse off than they were before. So the Fed concluded that the economic situation has improved enough to not move rates at least for another month. So this means for another month, these folks aren't going to touch the rates. And that, we can breathe a sigh of relief. But what I'm saying here is that they've pushed already so far, and so many different sectors of the economy have already felt it, and now them pausing it seems to be a little bit of a celebration amongst some corners, when this should be a reckoning of, look at, they've already pushed so far, and now we're taking pebbles or crumbs when we should be eating bread. We should all be eating what we deserve here. So the head of the U.S. economics at Fitch Ratings said, the message conveyed in their upward revision to the growth and their downward revision to the unemployment rate in 2024 signifies a Fed that has dialed up their expectations for a soft landing despite higher for longer rates. And that's kind of what the reporter said in that video, that we're going to see higher for longer rates just kind of be there and hang over a lot of people's heads. While some of the job market starts to slow, people aren't spending as much. This Black Friday coming up, this Christmas season, will tell the Fed a lot about where individuals are in their spending, and is this American consumer spending, I guess, vibe that we've lived in for so many years is here to stay, even through inflation, even through what we've already kind of seen as a recession. Is it here to stay? Is this something that we're going to be feeling for a while? And as an average American, going to do life, whether that be gas, groceries, a night out with the lady, a night out with friends, whatever, maybe planning a vacation, you automatically see the places you've gone to maybe a couple years ago now are almost unattainable, in the sense that you want to go and have the same vacation or you want to buy the same things that you've used to, and you want to go spend the same amount in gas, and it's no longer there. And for people in the middle, like I feel it, but I'm not to the point where it's become an issue that I need to get a loan out or whatever, right? I don't need to go the extra mile to kind of make up for where I'm feeling I'm no longer my lifestyle is no longer being met, right? So, but the people below, low wage, low scale, all the people who maybe don't have high school diploma or don't have college degrees, don't have whatever, right? Or in this day and age, it could be better than ever to be a skilled trade worker with the specialization that you have. But we're not talking about jobs here. We're talking about the economy. Those folks at the lower end of the spectrum are feeling it more than ever. They don't get as much attention because they're just, it's not a pretty thing to put out there. And quite frankly, our media is you got to put your tinfoil hat on a little bit. But if you do some research and you listen to smart people, that the media is kind of in the bag for the Biden administration and trying to make it seem like this isn't a problem, like they have got things under control. So you're not going to see too many reports of inner city folks, of people in poverty, in the low wage end of the spectrum being plastered on CSNBC, on MSNBC, on CNN, on these mainstream corporate media left-wing outlets. They're not going to play these sob stories that really point to how the Biden administration, how the economy has gotten us to a place where we find things are higher and more expensive than they ever have been. My last podcast last week dove into just the rising prices and how it's more expensive now than it was pre-COVID. And then I was saying, when you print money, you push it out to the people, close down businesses, take away jobs, and then you have people living on government money, basically, for a lot of the folks. You wonder why an inflationary period comes about. So it's one of those things where, you make policy decisions, you make decisions that you believe are in the best interest of the people without doing long-term hard research and being real with yourself and the American people and letting them know, if we're going to do this, this is what the outcome is going to be. So, and with this news, the Fed rate is still at its highest point in 22 years. So I'm 29. So the last time it was this ridiculous was when I was 7 years old and I was fucking being driven around by everybody, being bought and everything, and asking my parents why I couldn't have the newest LeBron James shoes. To be quite honest, so I didn't, not only do I not understand it, I was probably a little shithead kid pushing my parents to get me more and more and more. And the stock market closed lower today as the Fed announced its interest rates will remain higher for longer, as I said, than previously expected. So the stock market is kind of it tells us a little bit about where we are as investors, that people, how much discretionary cash folks have to put into this time, and where businesses are and what their forecast is and how they feel about the U.S. economy. So when you see lower closes, the day closed at a lower rate than what should have been, that's a cause for concern for some folks, and some folks think the stock market's a bunch of bullshit that's made up money. And hey, there's days I agree, and if you watch The Big Short, you might as well you'll definitely start to agree with a lot of this fictional way we do the way we do the American economy. How people go, if I don't do this one thing, whether it be making a double B rating for a mortgage loan look like a triple A, then the next person will. And if the next person will, then I lose money. So it's, as much as competition and capitalism is so good, there is incentives within capitalism that cause people to go above and beyond what they might have done in a different situation. But again, my thing has always been, it's not a structural issue. Maybe it is, when there's some argument to be made, but it's not a structural issue. It is the individuals within the structure who feel that they can't be honest, noble, or do their job at the way that it should be, because the next Timmy or Jimmy or Jan is just going to do what they said they couldn't, and if they do it, then Goldman Sachs will go to them for their investment or whatever it may be. So if we had more individuals who stuck to principles, to ethics, to truth, to what they believe in, then I think we'd be in a lot better place. But we're in such a place where it's the Instagram economy. Everyone wants to be on the yacht with the ladies in Miami, popping bottles, showing at the club, right? That's what everyone wants to be. And if you don't want that, you're in a lot better headspace than a vast majority of this of the America we're in. So a CNN poll, and CNN, like I was saying, you're not going to see much about negative press amongst the U.S. economy when it comes to it being a bad time in America, because you have Joe Biden at the head of America, which is a Democratic president. So that would, in a roundabout way, that shows bad on the Democrats, and CNN can't have any of that. If you've known, a lot of those media outlets tend to do that. But even they did a poll and found that 51% of surveyed Americans think the economy is still in a downturn and is getting worse. So maybe they found some of the regular old individuals who are just putting enough gas in their car to get to and from work, who just have enough money on the table to bring home the food for their little ones. Or they found real individuals to give them some honest feedback, which is good, because we need more honesty, not only in our personal lives, I think, but in the public sector of America. So that was good to hear. And one thing that I just think is so out of touch right here is Fed Chair Jerome Powell told reporters he thinks a lot of the negative sentiments that he's hearing, aka the poll, there's been some polls cited to him, and he thinks that, quote, it's because, quote, people just hate inflation. Well, fucking duh, dude. Duh. People hate inflation because that means everything's costing more. And I know you in your life don't feel that. And even if you do, the discretionary things that no longer need to go, like the excursions out to Italy or whatever. And I'm making up assumptions here. I get it, what I can sound like right now. I understand. But these people who are making economic decisions for the rest of the country, you can damn well be sure that they don't feel it as a family of four in Midwest Michigan would feel it, right? Like that's not the same. And so with them going, oh, people just hate the inflation, so that's why they're saying that. Well, no shit, No shit, they hate inflation. Interest rate. So my thoughts here, like interest rates remaining high, has an effect on so many sectors. Real estate, I'm directly affected in. So is my family. We're my father specifically. So we will feel this. The local housing market will feel it. Whether that could be good for some, bad for others, right? Is another discussion. My prediction here is that things don't get better till till summer of 2024. I think we'll start to see rates maybe come down and people feeling better about spending during that time. But the Fed's comments show an out of touchness that's still very prevalent amongst decision makers, policymakers, and that will always be such when there's these such big incentives to have these roles and have these positions, really, to position to kind of say, I'm going to keep the rate at this, and it's going to affect countless number of people, right? And they're just nameless, they're faceless to these the policymakers, and they'll give you their lip service and say that this mostly affects the people of poverty, of low income, low wages, fixed income, and we want to get this right for them. But they also say we want to see some pain, we want to see jobs grow slow and things like that. So the out of touchness is prevalent, and this video that I'm going to play next just kind of shows how the CEO class really feels about workers and about what what they think that this new, I guess, revelation of worker empowerment has become. And this goes in I'm bringing this in because of the out of touchness that Jerome Powell, Fed chair, showed. And this is a CEO class, which is, they're probably more in touch with the reasoning behind a lot of these decisions. And it kind of this is Tim Gerner at the AFR Property Summit. Let me read here. Founder Tim Gerner tells a Financial Review Property Work. Okay, so he's a founder of the Gerner Group. Let's listen to this guy. There we go.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean,
First of all, what? I understand you might be a founder, but if you don't have workers working for you or willing to work for you, tell me how much man work that you can put in and find 3 or 4 people that you pay an enormous amount that will work their ass off. The reason a lot of these companies grow and build to where they are is because they have a team of 80, 90, 100, 2, 3, 4, 500 people who this guy says, oh, they no longer want to work now. They no longer want to do this. And we need them to feel pain. We need them to be thankful for their jobs again, which is very true. But you don't get to where you are, my friend, without a little bit of workers of sweat and tears as well. So let's go on with this.
There's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them.
I agree with that. There has been a shift in the job market in that people do feel a little more entitled, and I can level with this man a little bit and say that some of those sentiments have gone further than I would that I'm personally cool with, in the sense of we do need to understand that the reason America is where we are in the sense of the economy, in sense of being really the best place to live in the world, is because of hardworking individuals who continue to show up every day, do their part to make the invisible hand of the economy can go round and round. Let's move on. Here we go.
As opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to.
Okay, I'm done. Like, we've seen more unemployment, we've seen less arrogance. Like, what? So your threat, like, that to me, my friend, he had to backpedal like they all do. You hear some smoke on Twitter, you hear some smoke on whatever it is on your old asses on, and you're like, oh no, I should probably say sorry or I'll get canceled or whatnot. So this guy, this is his saying the quiet part out loud. Like I just stated, I can see both ends of this, and I never want to be an absolutist on things because everything in this world, my friends, is a little gray. Not everything is so black and white. So let's all have a little bit of time to reflect, time to take a step back and understand our roles. And I hate to say like know your role, but where we are at right now, where I'm at right now, I have to understand my role until I can grow and be bigger, better, and to maybe be a person who's sitting up there on a stage like that as a CEO. If that would be something I want to do, that's not something I'm interested in. But what I'm saying is, if you're in a role and you're being told know your role and you find that disrespectful, then boss up. Ladies and gentlemen, boss up, get better, increase your marketability as an employee, show your worth. And I know you're not maybe receiving the kickback that a lot of the CEOs, CFO, CEO, all of them are getting, but that's because they've done a lot of the grunt work to get there. And some of it isn't always warranted. Some of it's through there's a word for it, but some of it's nepotism is the word I'm looking for. And so I understand some of it's not always the grind, climb the ladder way. But if you're in a spot where you took offense to that and you don't think you should be talked like that, but you don't want to do more, well, then you have to understand a little bit that if you're going to just sit and just be a good enough worker, then you're always going to just get enough. But if you're going to be a great worker and you're going to do things above and beyond, then you might get great responses. You might get great pay. You might get above and beyond recognition. So let's be mindful of what our parts play in this whole scheme, because as much as those words fired me up, it's probably because I want to be a little bit further along than I am. Right. So we all need to be honest with ourselves, with each other, and understand that, yes, our work does bring those folks to a better place within their earnings, their market space, whatever it may be. But that company wouldn't be there if it hadn't been for that brilliant mind of the founder, right? So let's all be honest about our situations. Moving on to a funny, interesting, weird, odd, all of the above story about our U.S. government, which there's a million and one of them. But this F-35 crashes. It has blown my mind. $100 million stealth fighter jet flew pilotless. Motherfuckers, that means there was no one in there for 60 miles. For 60 miles, this $100 million plane, and here we go with the tax dollar shit. I'm gonna get fired up again. But where does the US government get their money to pay for military expenses? I'll give you a second. The answer is taxes. Okay. The answer is our taxes, our money. So this $100 million plane was depiloted by a pilot who didn't feel comfortable flying anymore. We'll get more into the details, and then crashed. And as so far, it's all been like, well, we can't speak on it. It's an ongoing investigation. The pilot felt, due to weather, he needed to deplane. He needed to eject himself. There's not been hey, we're sorry that this happened. We don't understand how we lost it. And we are going to show you how we are going to do better with your tax dollars and ensuring that this never happens again by doing A, B, and C. Of course we don't get that. And this is the shit I'm talking about. A lot of us are grown-ups, and the kids out there, teenagers and all that, we're not talking to you right now. The people who are grown is in the teenagers. You should listen in the sense of like, you need to understand where you are now and what already is going on with the government. So when times get to you and you're making money and your taxes are getting taken from you, and you're like, well, what the fuck? I was supposed to make $4,000 and now I've got like maybe like 1,900, and now I just see $100 million plane go down, and that's part of my tax dollars. They're not saying sorry. They're not giving me a reason. This is where you got to start understanding the bullshit game. So what I want to do here real quick is play a quick news story regarding this very incident, because even these ladies on this news story are like, what the fuck's going on? So here we go.
And right now, U.S. military officials are trying to track down a missing F-35 fighter jet. I mean, they're asking the public for their help. They say it disappeared somewhere over South Carolina yesterday after the pilot.
Our government is asking for civilian help to find their lost $100 million plane when they all can track all of us where they were. My thing is here. I wrote this down too, and I think it's a good joke, and I'm going to say it now. Okay. The crazy part to me, okay, and where did I write this? Okay. The military, the best military in the world, lost $100 million plane, as you can hear from this video, asking for civilian help to find this fucking plane. But they couldn't find it. It went on, I think, for a day. It flew for 60 miles without a pilot, and they go, oh, we don't know where it is. But within a day, the incident with Lauren Boebert's tits getting groped all over the place was on the internet within a day. They found that. So we can find that and blast that all over the place and show how she said one thing and look at her in public and she said she wasn't vaping and she look at this video. That it's insane to me that the U.S. military, who does covert missions in China, Russia, this is a stealth fighter that's hurt 100 million, are asking for civilian help, but then like some lady, some senator, some congresswoman who's getting groped up, having a little crazy time. And again, I see the point in that, but having a little crazy time, that shit's blasted all over the internet. You can't type Lauren without the fucking Google saying Boebert video finishing for you. This is insane. So before I get onto a whole montage here, let's finish this up.
Ejected from the plane because of a mishap. NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Cuby is following the story for us. Courtney, this, I mean, sounds just so bizarre. This is one of the most advanced jets in the world. How does it sort of just disappear?
Yeah, it doesn't just sound bizarre. Frankly, Morgan, it is bizarre. So you have something, this aircraft, the F-35, it's known for its stealth capabilities. And basically what that means is an adversary has a difficult time knowing where it's flying or even if it's flying in their airspace at any given.
So the government did such a good job of making sure adversaries couldn't find them, that themselves. They're like, hey, let's test this. Let's test this shit out. Let's have our pilot deplane this bitch, and let's just see if we can find it. Let's see how good this stealth is. Do we really know how good this stealth? We could be going into enemy territory and they could be seeing our shit on radar, no problem. So we need to find out just how good it is. So Marine Corps, sir, you're going to deplane this bit and we're going to try and find it ourselves. And they were like, well, fuck. It worked pretty damn well. Now we can't find it. It's flying by itself for 60 miles. We don't know about commercial airlines going through. Spirit plane might get hit. Who gives a fuck? But if it's like a Southwest plane, we need to figure that shit out. We can't have stealth bomber planes flying pilotless. So let's see what this lady has to say, and then I'll end this for us. Here we go.
Given time. But that being said, there's also very sophisticated communications technique or equipment that is a part of this F-35. So it should be able to communicate back with wherever it's flying out of, whether it's an aircraft tower or air control tower or the base that it flew out of. There should be a constant stream of communication.
There should be a constant stream of communication, but yet we lost it. We lost it and we couldn't find it. And I think the best thing that came out of this is if you didn't know the government was incompetent before, they lost $100 million stealth plane in our own country. And it landed in South Carolina, and they interviewed a man as a witness, and he gave us one of the best interviews you'll hear. And I'm going to play it for us. But first, understand the incompetence. And I think I might be right. I think they wanted to check how this stealth plane was. Hey, are you really that stealthy, or can we find you? No, we couldn't find you. So let me play this amazing response from a South Carolina man on this whole issue. So let's see here. And I see this damn internet again. Here we go. We'll play now.
Normally it's pretty quiet, but on Sunday afternoon,
I was in the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a
That man just hit a note like Rick James. Somebody find this man and give him a goddamn music contract, give him a little bit of auto-tune and let him go again on a concert stage and have the whole fucking place go wild. That note, he hit it so damn perfectly that I can't get enough of it. I wanted that to be my fucking ringtone when someone I don't know calls, because it's lost. I'm just gonna have that. Anyways, before I get sillier here, a little dumber, folks, understand this. The plane has been found. The remains of the crash were in South Carolina. That man heard the plane go down. And this is just it's crazy to me. This is crazy to me. Our tax dollars were flying by itself for 60 miles and then just ended up crashing in South Carolina. And again, there's no come to Jesus about this. There's no, and hopefully there is one in the next week. Hopefully I do get a military veteran, because it was a Marine Corps official said he couldn't provide any details on why it took so long to find the jet, citing ongoing investigations. Well, I hope that same motherfucker comes out and tells us all the things he knew during the whole point, so we can have some damn truth in this thing. Or else I'll bring my boy back from that video to have him start singing on stage for all these motherfuckers, because that man can hit a goddamn note, I'll tell you that. Anyways, we're moving on again, folks. Russell Brand has found himself in some serious controversy. And right now it is allegations on regards to rape, sexual assault, and abuse. These claims come from 4 women during his time in the Hollywood scene. This was happening, that they said happened between 2006 and 2013. The women asked to remain anonymous. You can say that's cowardly, but in this environment of doxing, of finding individuals and threatening them, that is probably the smarter thing to do. And quite honestly, right now, Brand has denied all reports of this, putting out his own video on Twitter, on X, kind of explaining what's going on, and that's what we're going to watch right now.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received 2 extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies. And as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan, when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware.
Okay, so I understand his want, his need, his desire to plead to some of the similar situations that, like he names, Joe Rogan went through. But these are much more serious allegations that are being put onto him. And as he said, during his time in Hollywood, he was promiscuous. He's come out as he was a drug abuser as well during the time. So this is something that, as much as you want to believe and understand what he's saying, you have to understand the nature of and I'm not going to pretend like I do, but understand Hollywood. I mean, we've had so many different people go down for things they've done and that's come out they've done, and for things they didn't do and came out later that they didn't do, but the damage has been done, right? And one of the main instances is Johnny Depp losing his role on Pirates of the Caribbean and lots of different things besides that during his whole trial with Amber Heard, and it came out, and it really was that the initial story was that he was a abuser, physically, mentally, emotionally, and some of the videos or some of the recordings that come out later shows, yes, there was some wrongdoing by my Mr. Depp, but Amber Heard was was seemed like she was in the wrong for a lot of the things. And that brings me to this nature, this environment that we're all in. And if you're watching this, you might not feel it, and I certainly don't. This YouTube page, my Spotify, isn't the biggest thing in the world by any means, folks. So what I'm saying here is I'm talking from a point of perspective like you were, like you listening, right? Like this doesn't really pertain to us, and when we see this kind of headline, we go, oh, whatever. Right, whatever. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Whatever. It's just another Hollywood guy doing or being told that they're doing something wrong. Whatever, right? But this new landscape we're in of guilty until proven innocent is very, very scary. Does this now mean that if you have a bad date, a date where you say something that was taken in not right, or if you try to go in for a kiss and it didn't work out and the girl just wasn't into it, or whatever it may be, that you could be accused of sexually harassing someone without there being any proof? Now it's a he said, she said. And in this world where we live in, where it was for so long, hashtag believe all women are always going to get the benefit of the doubt over the man, in the sense of that historically men have used their power, their strength, brute strength, and just strength around, politics and media, Hollywood, to kind of bully women. And that is fair, but two wrongs don't then make a right. So this kind of issue does worry me, in the sense of, will this bleed out into everyday life? If you're having a bad date, will the cops be called or come to your door saying that, Sally Mae said that you touched her inappropriately and she told you no, and you, now what do you have as proof, right? What do you have? And no cop's gonna ever believe a man saying, well, she touched me and I didn't want her to and she wouldn't stop. I'm like, well, what are you talking about, dude? Like, that is, ladies, if you're listening, that's just a fact. We will never win that argument, for better or for worse. We will never win that argument. So this is the kind of stuff that worries me about this. And more so on this part, as I'm trying to build my own media landscape and my own brand, if you will. I don't mean that as a pun, but my own, this is TA certified podcast, as I try and build this. What's come out of this allegation, where nothing has been proven yet, nothing has been said as fact, is that a lot of Russell Brand's monetary flows, where he goes to get money, Rumble, YouTube, I think TikTok was named as one of them, has been called to halt, really allowing him to make money, allowing him to really be able to make the money. And I'm scrolling through this USA Today article to find some of the things that I'm saying here, and maybe I have a different media piece I can bring up that I'll bring it up. But what this article goes on to say is kind of what I said, is what he's been accused of from 4 women he knew over a 7-year period at the height of his fame. It says, reveal the accusations would include 1 woman alleging Brand raped her, right, while 3 others accused him of sexual assault. Brand has denied allegations, as I showed you in that video. The accusation also spurred broadcasters such as the BBC and Channel 4, where Brand was previously employed as a presenter, to launch internal investigation into his conduct. So this is now a full frontal hunt on this man. And I'm not going to call it witch hunt, because these are allegations that are serious. And if they come true, then Brand obviously deserves what's coming to him. But this is another very concerning piece of information that's come out of this whole thing. So this is posted to X, and this is a copy of a memo and some sort of request from the Culture, Media, and Sports Committee. And it goes like this. I'm writing concerned the serious allegations regarding Russell Brand in the context of him being a content provider on Rumble with more than 1.4 million followers. So Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, or some of the places where he makes his name the most. So the Culture, Media, and Sports Committee is raising questions with the broadcaster and production companies who previously employed Mr. Brand to examine both the culture of the industry in the past and whether the culture still prevails today. However, we are also looking at the social media, at his use of social media, including Rumble, where he issued a preemptive response, the video I played for you earlier, to the accusations made against him by the Sunday Times and Channel 4's dispatches. While we recognize that Rumble is not the creator of the content published by Mr. Brand, we are concerned that he may be able to profit from the content on the platform. So what that, and if we take away the guise of all the wording that's being saying there, they're concerned that this man can make money during this time where he's being accused of something that is neither true nor false at this very moment. We would be grateful if you can confirm whether Brand is able to monetize his content, including his video relating to the serious accusations against him. If so, we would like to know whether Rumble intends to join YouTube in suspending Mr. Brand's ability to earn money on the platform. We would also like to know what Rumble is doing to ensure the creators are not able to use the platform to undermine the welfare of victims in an inappropriate or potential illegal behavior. Folks, this is a full-fledged attack on this man's ability to make money. YouTube has already demonetized his platform completely. And again, regular individuals like you and I, we don't even care about that. We don't understand. Like, oh, your YouTube was demonetized. Sorry, bro. But this is like saying if you get accused of something, your job tomorrow goes away until this gets done with. So what the fuck are you supposed to do for an accusation that, again, could be or couldn't be true? And if this is true, scrap a lot of things I'm saying. This man deserves to not be platformed on all these places. And I get that. But what I'm saying is right now that we don't know this. We don't know this, and it's a he said, she said, and it's coming out years later at a time where Russell Brand seems to be really uncovering a lot of corruption in the media and in the government and showing the cracks in the system that we all live in. So this is an interesting timing for everything, for sure. And let me see here. That's really the gist of the main thing is that he's losing a lot of ability to make money. He's being already blackballed and already told as this guy who's done this. It's no longer an accusation. It is from what that memo said to a Rumble, it looks like higher up CEO maybe, shows that this is already to a lot of people, this is a done deal. This is already something that's done. This is already something that should be taken care of. YouTube suspended them. Why aren't you suspending them? Don't you know YouTube's the biggest platform? And if they're doing it, just follow suit. That's how a lot of this stuff happens, right? That's why Pfizer paid so much money to a lot of big media influencers to go on Instagram, go on Twitter, and all these things and say, look at what I'm doing to protect my fellow man. I'm getting the vaccine. And that's how everyone else just followed right in line without ever questioning the repercussions of this vaccine. Now, we still don't know on. Anyway, that's a sidebar. My point is, let's all be careful to burn the witch at the stake, to do these very permanent things to people before we understand the full scope of things. And once the full scope does come out, and if it turns out that Russell Brand is this monster, well, then we public opinion will take care of him. It always does. But if it doesn't, there better be some sorries. There better be a reckoning. Because what if that was the CEO of that man who sent out that letter? What if you're accused tomorrow? You all got to think about that. How quick you are to jump on the bandwagon, you very much could be next. And that's when shit gets serious. And that's when people don't want to really understand. So Russell Brand, my friend, for everyone involved, for those ladies, and if you're lying, there should be some serious consequences for making up shit, because that is a person's livelihood that you're fucking with. And now anyone who's not going to follow this whole thing along to its end are not going to find out whether he was guilty or not. They're just going to hear this and that'll be it. So they've already ruined his name in a lot of spaces for sure. But I digress. So moving on to the final content that we have here. There's a gas hike in San Diego that is really pissing some people off, and I understand it. There's some serious shit going on with the gas out here, and it's getting over $6 a gallon, even if you pay cash. And if you know the Arcos of the world will give you a little bit of discount if you come in with the cash money. You come in the cash money to help you out. But they said even with the cash money, we don't care. So I want to play this quick video that kind of goes over some of the things that are going on in San Diego. Let's listen up.
San Diegans are taking another hit to the wallet right now with gas prices, which have shot up again. So what's behind this spike, and when might we see some relief at the pump? CBS 8's Steve Price talked to a petroleum analyst today. He joins us live from a gas station in Kearny Mesa with some answers. Steve.
And Carlo, if you are paying with cash, a gallon of regular unleaded at this mega fuel here is $5.89 a gallon. And here in Kearny Mesa, that's actually a bargain, because right across the street over there at that Chevron, the same gas, 50 cents a gallon more. And experts say this pain at the pump may get even worse. Fueling frustration, gas prices on the rise again.
It's ridiculous right now.
Michael Samula needs more gas than he got, but it's all he can afford right now.
Just enough to get to work and back home.
What am I saying? Just a normal fucking dude said, I just got enough gas to get to work and get back home. Get to work and get back home. Oh, but hey, did you hear, Michael? Didn't you hear? The Fed said that people just hate inflation. That's all it is. It's not that this is actually affecting you, right? This isn't that it's actually causing you to just go to work and come home, have no extra life, not be able to take the kids to the park if you have kids, whatever it may be. No. It's just that you hate inflation. You don't understand it. Now, this is what we understand. The everyday shit that causes us to really, you pay more for gas. You have enough just to get home and get back to work. Now you hate your job a little more. You hate your job a little more. Now you're not working as hard enough. You're not working as hard enough. Now you're getting looked at as like a slacker. There's a trickle down effect. And yes, people should be stronger mentally to get over this shit. I get that. But when it comes to the economics and the money of it all, this takes precedent over a lot of things, man. It takes precedent over a lot of things. I'm telling you. So let's read some of this article right here. CBS 8 found several stations around Kearny Mesa, which is a part of San Diego, are already charging well over $6, even if you pay cash. That's what we've already kind of said. I don't think we've hit the top yet, said Patrick Dehan, the head of petroleum analyst at Gas Buddy. Gas Buddy is one of those apps that tells you all the cheapest locations to find gas in a space near you. And their petroleum analysts said that it's not even done yet. So let's go on what he says. He also said oil producers overseas are taking positions that make a bad situations worse. Quote, the Russians and Saudis have declared war on low oil prices, he said. They did that earlier this summer as the prices of oil hit $65. Those countries, Russia, Saudi Arabia, cut production. So geopolitics, folks, geopolitics does in fact matter in our local economies and our national. Like, this is not just a issue of San Diego, but I'm bringing San Diego because that's where I live and that's where I'm feeling it. So right here, cutting lunches, cutting dinners, money is tight as it is. So we definitely need some help out here for sure, said Kyle Harrington as he filled his tank. These are regular folks talking about cutting lunches, cutting dinner. Like, I understand we all don't deserve the right to go to a 4 or 5-star restaurant in Little Italy in San Diego, go sit in a nice spot, get a good, but sometimes the fuck we do. And if this makes it harder because our president doesn't know how to work geopolitics correctly, or we're in this war with Russia and Ukraine, and we're continuing to heighten up these tensions that they make Russia, one of the biggest gas suppliers on earth, become even more stingent and raise prices. This affects us, man. This affects us. So what I'm saying is, San Diegans, we live in one of the slogan here is greatest city in America, right? Like, we live in a great place. We have the beaches, we have hills, we have great roads, we have great schools, and we have so much here in San Diego. But what comes with that is we're going to see hit on things fucking automatically. We're going to see things hit like right away that it makes your head spin. And this Axios article was back in August. It showed local San Diego was $5.03, while national was $3.76. And I have this graph here pulled up if you're watching. So this is what I'm talking about, and this is via Gas Buddy. San Diego is just all around one of the places that if you're gonna live, you better make some dough. You better make some money. And if you don't, my friends, like, you better better have a goddamn good reason to live out here. That's why when I was working in the homeless industry, and I was finding so many people who out here and couldn't afford this and couldn't afford that, but they had enough money to go to, somewhere smaller, somewhere more rural, and they would have a home, they would have a space, they would have a place to call their own. They said, no, they want to be in San Diego. I mean, why wouldn't you? They said to me, like, the weather, the free services, all this stuff, like, this is what all comes into play. San Diego will forever be the beacon for so many people to want to go live. There's people vacation here all the time. I feel so blessed to be living in a place where people vacation. But us as residents, we feel these huge spikes in gas, in groceries, in everyday living, and it's not lost on us that this could be here to stay for a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, like, this is the stuff we need to care about, because as you become a contributing member of society, and you expect to have a certain status of life and have things be affordable so you can continue to live your life and have a whole, well-rounded just being to kind of get to work and feel okay the next day. These are some of the basic shit we ask for. Affordable gas, so you don't have the people cutting out lunches, dinners, so you don't have a guy that says got enough to just go home and to go to work and get back home. There needs to be more, and we need to push on that. So if this continues, there needs to be a rise up in San Diego. I'm here for it. I'm here to start it with y'all. If you're with me, let's fucking do it. San Diego needs to drop some prices, because right now, people, it is insane. So I digress. That's been all 4 segments of this week's TA Certified podcast. Again, I appreciate you guys always for listening. Please subscribe. Please go to my Spotify page and comment on shit that you want to hear more about. Bring up news articles that you want me to comment about. I read the comments on this, so I will bring it up. But folks, I do appreciate you. And like always, stay safe out there. Do your thing. Live a good life. And I'll see you next week. This has been TA Certified Podcast. Peace.